Hello, Gary here. I'm going to do a live demo of playing with some services in Linux. So I'm on my laptop here at my command prompt, and I've got two different tabs open in this Xterm terminal emulator, because one of them is going to be for do some stuff on my local machine, and the other one's going to do stuff on a remote machine. I got a note from Let's Encrypt that my certificate for a website is going to expire soon, so I should renew that certificate. So I'm going to take a look at, in this case, we're going to look at SSL, we're going to look at a web server, and we're going to take a look at SSH. So SSH is a secure shell, and I've got a weird username for this website, and I can never remember it. So interesting thing I do sometimes, maybe not so interesting, is Less is a paging reader, and as opposed to a streaming reader like cat. And whenever you run commands, if you shut down your shell properly, then the commands you ran are stored in your bash history. And so I'm just going to look up my username here because I don't have it stored somewhere else. So I'm going to do a dot ss. Oops, that's not what I want. Escape that. I'm going to do a slash to search in less, and then I'm looking for an SSH command that I ran sometime. Oh, it's in here somewhere. A few different websites I log into here and there via SSH, and username starts with an X. There she is. All right, so I want, and then this particular website, I can only log in with a IP number, not a domain name. So Control-Shift-C to copy that, Q to quit less, Control-Shift-V to paste it. And so we're going to jump into this remote server. What? And then that's the password. There we go. So I'm in. So you can see my user prompt has changed. And let's do a little ls here, see what's going on. And on this computer, the web stuff is located in public. So I'm going to cd into public. HTML, and I'm using tab completion there. And the storage place, let's see, there's two storage places for these certificates because I've got a subdomain going on. And a certificate allows secure transactions from a browser to a website. So ls-a, we want, public, yeah. Dot well known. Okay, so that's where security certificate information is stored. I'm going to take a look at dot well known. And we need to set up the Acme challenge. Okay, and then so there, and again, there's several different files there. Let's do an ls-l, separate them out a bit. Oops, no, I'm going to do an ls-l on this. Several other commands you can use with ls. So there's a bunch of different files that have these randomly generated file names, and inside those files are these SSL certificates. Actually, they're not SSL certificates yet. What they are verification IDs that we're going to use to confirm I own the website that I'm trying to set up the certificate for. All right. So we'll get to that in a minute. So back here, what I need is to run Let's Encrypt. And somewhere I have notes on that in my Google Drive, or I could just look in my bash history. which starts with a dot, which makes it a hidden file at first. And we want, let's see, just the command for let's encrypt. Nope. Oh, I don't think that's it. It is certbot. Okay, so here I see I want okay, and I can't do the subdomain. So I just want this chunk right there. Control Shift C, otherwise you'll Control C yourself and cancel some stuff that's going on. Mess up your shell. So I want to run that command right there. So let's see. I've got to run it as the super user. I'm doing certbot. I'm generating certificates. I'm doing this manually as opposed to having certbot install the certificate for me. And there are some systems where you can have certbot automatically install stuff and run a cron job, so you don't have to do this manually every few months. But the GoDaddy my friend is using for this website, GoDaddy account, doesn't allow us to run this through a cron job. And so I have to do it manually every few months. Not a big deal, only takes a few minutes. All right, so that should be what I want. Password. Okay, so we want to create a file. So, and I want this to be the file contents here. And then this is going to be the file name. And you can see it's going to go in .well-known Acme challenge. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to highlight that file name, copy it, go to the remote server. And then here I want to cd into that directory. And then to make the files, a couple of things I could do. I could touch to create the file with that name, or I could just open it with an editor like Nano. So I'm going to use Nano. It's pretty easy to use. And then if I do Nano with that file name, Nano will say the file doesn't exist and it will start creating it. But it doesn't complete the creation until I save it. So that jumps us into a potential file with that name. And then in that file, I want that as the text. And then with Nano, we Control X to quit, and then it says, do you want to save? And I want to do a yes. Oops, shit, messed that up. Just a Y was sufficient. And double check, that's the file name. I didn't screw it up. Ends in an M, yep. And enter. And so now I should have that file. So if I bring that up again and do an ls-t on it for time, oh no, I didn't want an ls.t, I want an ls.l for long, so I can get the timestamp on it. Okay, cool. That's what I want. Once that file is there, then Let's Encrypt is going to go look for it and then confirm it's the right web server, that the domain name matches and the file name and the text inside matches. Okay. I have two domains in this command, so now it's bringing me over to the next one. So notice this is a slightly different name there. So I want to copy that. Oh, shit. See, I screwed it up. I did Command C instead of Command Shift C. So I got to start over when that happens. All right, so I need to, that looks like the same one. Let's double check. CV8. Just look inside there. Yeah, I think that it's doing the same handshake data. Okay, I'm good on that one. Okay, so now I can do this one. Control Shift C, don't screw that up again. Put that with a Q, and then I'm going to use Nano again And on this server, I don't need to be the super user to do this because I set up my user. So you got to, kind of weigh the pros and cons of when you want super user to be able to do stuff and when you want a normal user to do it. Control-Shift-V for the file name. Contents. Copy, and there are other ways to do this. I could use secure copy to send the file over there from this server to that one. I like this way. And Control X to exit and Y to save and enter to finish the save. So that file should be there too. And then I can complete the handshake. Okay, so then it tells me that it ran and my certificates are located in etc let's encrypt live numerology pro blah blah blah. So let's go take a look there, do an ls-t, and that is probably a directory my normal user doesn't have access to. So I bet if I, oh no, an L, sorry. We'll try to look in that directory. It's going to say access denied. So I get the super user, check it out. And I can see that those commands just ran. So my next step is then to go to the web utilities for my service provider, which is GoDaddy, and then GoDaddy has a screen in their cPanel where I can then upload this new certificate and renew that certificate so that my website is secure. And that's it. So I'm going to not show the GoDaddy part. That's just a web interface. It's kind of boring. It's not very exciting, but the command prompt stuff is stuff you need to know how to do. So again, what was I playing with? Well, on the remote server, I did an SSH into there. So if we go to the processes of the remote server, let's see. Oh, this GoDaddy server is probably locked down more, so it's not going to let me see all of the processes. So there's an SSHD server. So kind of like on my local server here, if I do a ps-a processes, show all of them. In here, there should be a few things running. Right now, SSH is running, and that SSH is this right here, where I'm using a secure shell to be inside the GoDaddy server, wherever that lives in the world. The SSH agent is to help coordinate connection through SSH. And then if I pipe this into grep and have grep search through this line by line for SSH, it'll show me also that I have, I don't have SSHD here. Okay, which makes sense. It's a laptop. So my laptop, nobody can SSH into my laptop because I don't have the SSH daemon running to receive connection requests. But on my desktop, I do. I think you saw that in another video. Other things to check out, like on my laptop, I do some web development. So I have a web server running here. So ps-a, pipe it to grep again. And this one should be Nginx is what I've been running lately. Nginx. And we can see there's a bunch of instances of Nginx running right now in the background. What else do I have running here? We have MySQL running, database, my local computer. Apparently not, unless it's running as Maria. Yeah. So there was a split a while back. MySQL, I think, is owned by Oracle now. And they made their open source version forked and is now MariaDB. And on some systems, even if you're running MariaDB, it'll look like MySQL. You might see a MySQL daemon running for that. So I have a database server running here. Also on my local computer. Let's see any other interesting servers I have. Don't think I'm running a mail server on here. Let's take a look. Yes, I am. Oh, apparently I am running a mail server here. Okay, I'm not sure what I'm doing with it. And this is my laptop, but it must be just me experimenting with some scripts that involve mail and the web. So I think that's it for the play for now. So I'm just kind of messing around here. Again, this is SSH in action. And I mentioned SCP before. So what SCP is, let's demonstrate that here. So to do that, what do I want to do? I'm going to go scroll up just to give that a quick demo. And I'm going to steal that right there. Control Shift C. And yeah, that should be okay. All right, so back here, I don't have any interesting files I could send over for fun. Let's see. Documents. Well, let's just make a file right now. Let's do a nano, and we're going to call it Gary.txt. And we'll slap in there, hello world, Control X out of nano. Yep. And the book also references Vim. I think I have Vim installed here. Do I? I do. So tab completion is kind of nice. So I just typed VI and it'll tell me anything that starts with VI if I hit tab twice. So I can select Vim and I can do Vim on Gary. Text. And in the Vim editor, you're in a view version where there's different commands where you can jump to different parts. If you want to edit, there's a bunch of edit commands. One is I for insert. So then, so here I can enter a new line and say, close with Gary. And then to get out, escape. Now if I try to type, I accidentally hit I, so let me type. But again, if you just try to randomly type escape when you're in command mode, you can't type unless you hit a special key for some command, like I for insert. And then when you're done, escape that, and then it is semicolon W to write and Q to quit. So now if I do an LESS on Gary, we can see I just did some editing with Vim, which is, it's really used for bigger text files where you have some more complicated editing to do than Nano would allow. Nano is really super simplistic. All right, anyway, so what I want to do is I want to send that file to the web server instead of like the copy and paste I did from one server to the other. So to do that, I would do an SCP and go get my computer name. So this says, okay, find this computer on the internet. On that computer, find this user. And then we have to say where. So semicolon, where am I going to put the file? So if I don't put anything after the semicolon, then it's going to put it in my home directory. So back on my remote server, if I do a CD tilde, that'll take me, CD space tilde, that'll take me back to my home directory. PWD, we can see I'm in home, my username. If I wanted to put it somewhere special, then like suppose I wanted to put it in app, etc, where would I put it? Let's put it in temp. If I wanted to put it in temp, then I would do :tmp/. So this is where the file goes on the internet, and then I have to say what file I want to send. So this command will try to send this file to that location on the internet. Enter, and it should ask for my password. Maybe it doesn't like the slash. Like something I typed there. Okay, let's see. I thought that was the syntax for SCP. Let's look it up, man, SCP. All right. :port / path. Okay. Thought it was oops, wrong user, quit man page. Yeah, let's try that. Oh, what the hell? Okay, what am I doing wrong? Shouldn't have to need any special flags. All right. CP syntax. Geeks for Geeks, Linux size. Geeks for Geeks has too many ads, but they get a lot of good stuff. Okay, so I don't need any options. User, semicolon. Oh, shit, I have the wrong order. Duh. Shit. Okay, so SCP is bidirectional. So what does that mean? It means I can pull files with SCP from one server to another, or I can send files. And so I got this backwards here. What I want, I don't think I need the slash there. I think I can just do that. And maybe I do need an ending slash. I want to send the file Gary to there. Okay, order of operations matters. And the error here was correct. It was saying that you can't pull temp into the place called Gary.txt on this computer because there ain't no file called temp. So it was telling me there. I just wasn't reading the thing right. And boom, it sent it over. So now if I look over here and I do an ls into temp, then I should see that Gary text lives in there. And if I look inside of it, then I should see the stuff I typed. So again, I am on that remote computer at the GoDaddy server, and I just sent the file from here. And again, if I wanted to pull a file, I would reverse it. So let's do that for fun. So we're going to get Gary dot text. And so that's going to go first because that's the file I want to grab. And then I will say where to put it. So let's just put it in downloads on my local computer. So this is going to reverse it. This is going to go out to this computer, look for a file in temp called Gary text, and then stick in my downloads folder. It's going to ask for a password each time. Boom, it finds it. So now if I do an ls into my downloads, then I should see that there's a Gary.txt in there. And if we put the -L on there, we can see the timestamp on it that it just happened. Cool. Fun with SSH, which is kind of a relative to, SCP is a relative of SSH. So SCP will do a single file or multiple file transport from one server to another. Now, one thing that's important to know to run this, you have to have, you don't have to have, yes, you do. You have to have some public keys set up. So in order for this to work, I have to either have a password securing information from one to another, or I have to have a public key set up. On the GoDaddy server, GoDaddy was being difficult of the public key transaction and wouldn't let me install my public key there, so I didn't have to use a password. On some computers, you have to use public keys to go back and forth, not passwords. And public key should always be password protected. Something for another time. All right, adios. Done playing for now. Take care.